Hey, beautiful people. How are we doing? I am Anitra in Lawson, storyteller, producer, educator sometimes, content creator sometimes, all the above.
You said sometimes.
Sometimes. He is Dr. Andre Evans.
Good morning, beautiful people. Good evening, beautiful people. Or good night, whatever time you might be listening. Welcome.
He is the brother that I always wanted. See, it's a new season. I'm trying
It's a new season.
Embrace the newness of that. Author, father, amazing brother, son, all the above. He has lots of accolades that I can't remember right now. But we are the Savage Siblings, and this is the Savage Siblings podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. And as always, thank you for joining us for another episode. Bro.
Yeah.
What's been going on?
Hey, what's going on? Great week. Just want to give a quick shout out again to all those listening, and always that encouragement for those of you listening on your different vehicles, whether it's YouTube. Go ahead and like and subscribe and share it with somebody. If it's on one of the podcast catchers, whether it's Apple or Spotify or wherever it is you might be catching, please do us a favor right now. Not only subscribe and follow, get those notifications, but rate. Let us know how we're doing.
Review.
And if you can make a comment, leave a review. That's it. We want to go ahead and get this podcast to every set of Savage siblings that we can.
Yes.
So with that, again, just thankful as always for all of you rocking with us. What's been going on? It's been a long week for me. It has. It's been a long week. And the reason why I notice it's been a long week is because oftentimes it's how many times have I kind of shared my week with someone that's reached out. How's your week going? And one of the things I noticed, Nikki, is that my circle is getting smaller as I get older.
Yep.
No, I'm serious.
Yep.
It is. It's getting smaller as I get older. And I'm finding more peace with that. So let me start there. But I'm trying to figure out, within the past couple of years, like, why did it have this significant drop off? And here's the reason why that caught my attention. No, it's the reason why it caught my attention. Like, I know I'm my usual, wonderful, beautifully bubbly self, and I often am amazed at how many people still enjoy, who I am, keep me in their contact list. I do. I'm very amazed, but I had a very significant drop off that I'm noticing in the past couple of years, and it's because I stopped using social media, and here's how I know this. But here's how I know this. I got a text message from a friend in the past, not too long ago, and it was just one of these frowning faces, and I was like, what, what's good? What's up with that? And the person said, well, you forgot to wish me happy birthday.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, how's I supposed to know it was your birthday? And unfortunately, I really got to work on my tact. I'm typing, how am I supposed to know it's your birthday? Like, that, which should have been just a thought.
Right.
And the response was, is because Facebook tells you. And I was like, I don't do Facebook anymore.
Right.
Like, I'm not on social media, so nothing's reminding me of anybody's birthday. And then I also realized I had to cancel a lot of the calendars in my phone.
It's too many.
Because some of those calendars in my phone had people's birthdays I ain't talked to since high school. So I'm like, why do I need to know this person's birthday? So once I canceled the calendars, I stopped going on Facebook and Instagram, all these other social medias where you just kind of, tell everybody this blanket happy birthday whenever it comes up in your notification. Once I stopped doing that, I realized, my circle's small.
It's small.
My circle's really, really small because I can remember maybe 6 birthdays a year. Like, that's about it.
That's my capacity.
That's it. You're right. That's it. Other than that, which means some of these people were just technology friends.
Right, 100%.
That's it. You're just a technology friend, and I that's why, like, you're not really in the circle.
Nope.
So yeah, and I'm good. I'm so good with that. I really am very, very good with that. So yeah, it's just something I realize, and I find
embracing
value in a small circle.
Yes,
I find great value in a small circle. I find I also am not interested in people's opinions of me
Oh,
in
yeah.
a small circle.
Yep.
So those things have really come about for me this week. And especially in getting prepared for this particular episode, those things have come about for me.
Nice.
So yeah, you want to know how valuable you are, and you want to know what you are in people's eyes. Get rid of social media and delete your calendars,
and see.
then you'll see. you'll see who's just your technology friend and who's really in your circle. So, but that's it for me. What's been good with you?
I love it. I've learned years ago to stop social media, don't start at all because of similar issues where people are like, you didn't respond or post it. So I totally get that. I was like, they weren't friends anyway. Those were like Keyboardconnections or something. I don't know. But yeah, so
I like that. Keyboardconnections. That's it. I like that.
So for me, this week has been about embracing change. And let me just say this. I don't usually like change because I am a creature of habit. I like structure. I like order. And so I like comfort, right?
Right.
And change, can often be uncomfortable. But in my, my quiet time throughout this week, God told me, he was like, I mean, this is kind of just in Bible study. So when I say it that way, it's just stuff that I'm reflecting on. But, this notion of how you handle change really comes down to what you value. And now I've had to say, okay, well, I value comfort.
Amen.
So I value. But then I learned with my walk with God, God was like, yeah, but let's talk about what I value. How about we get your values over here with mine? Just align them a little bit. So when I say I've been embracing change this week, it's been good to just kind of shift the things that I value. And it's good to question that too, periodically say you thought you valued that, but maybe the change that's happening is because you need to rethink your value system. So that's one of those things, being in theology the way God has forced me to be in theology. Right.
Is that, we'll say this is comfortable, and God will be like, yeah, but I kind of want you to do this.
That part.
And then, and then you'll look at what he kind of wants you to do and be like, that don't seem comfortable.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It don't seem comfortable at all.
Doesn't fit.
Right.
What I do.
It's like, right. And so, you get, that change, embracing change really is, embracing out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But I think the great thing though is that the great thing about change is eventually you also become comfortable with the new you, the better you, the changed you, the transformed you.
That's good.
So comfort is fleeting anyways. Mm-hmm. Comfort is not meant for eternity. It's meant for a season.
That's good.
Comfort is this saying, you know what, I can find peace wherever I gotta be planted.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got to do that. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And you know more than the listeners know. I'm sure it'll be a later episode on some of the changes hitting me, but I'm getting strong and I'm getting through it. So
there you go.
So I love it.
There you go.
But let's jump into this sound off segment.
No doubt.
Sound off segment. Sound off.
I want to kick it off a bit just because I want to give you your flowers. And then I'll pass it back to you as we kind of delve into the topic here. But so this episode, we are titling it, What's It to You? And you can put a little stank on that when you read it out loud. What's it to you? Right?
What's it to you?
And so this really springboards from a book that my brother is writing that really focuses on young boys, young men learning to properly handle loving relationships. And he's writing it from the perspective of parent, because ideally you want those conversations to happen in youth. And so I've had the pleasure of sitting on the sidelines and reading some of it, sharing thoughts. And so when I pitched this episode topic to him, it was because it was just to me so important to look at what he described as valuation. And I don't know, Burbo, if you use versus validation, but those two concepts of valuation and validation.
Valuation and validation.
And validation. I don't necessarily want to say versus, but we'll unpack it more. And so it reminded me as I was reading it that we have to be mindful of the differences between how you define valuation and validation and the proper understanding of that. And so I got super hype about it, and I was like, oh, we got to talk about that. So, this is what we're going to delve into today is kicking into that. So I'm going to let Brobo start it off, and then I'll jump in.
Well, so when you brought up the topic valuation and validation, and I think at first we were saying valuation versus validation,
Right.
but by the time I finished really kind of studying the two, I realized that it's an and thing.
Yes.
The problem is too many of us make it a or a
Yes.
versus thing. So instead of and, we say, nah, I'm just going to go with this one.
Yeah.
And most of the times that's validation. We don't move on to valuation, don't see the importance of having both. When I started thinking about both when I was writing the book and even now when we were getting ready for this particular episode, it took me back to the days of the arcade. Now I'm dating myself here because I don't even know. Do they even have arcades anymore?
You got to seek them out.
You got it right. I think so. What I'm about to describe, I think mainly you get like at the city fair.
Yeah.
You might get them at an amusement park, but
Santa
there
Monica
used to-
Pier.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But there used to be a day you could go to the mall,
Right.
and there would be this place called the arcade that
Yes.
had nothing but video games.
Yep.
That's it. Just
Yep.
just straight up video games, and there'd be these games which you could get these prizes or you'd get these tickets, right? And so that was skeet ball. That might be a basketball game. It might be a mole mash'em game.
I
But
love
all
those.
these different games gave you tickets. And I don't know if you remember, Nikki, but on those tickets then would say redeem at the counter,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. And oftentimes back in the day, those tickets not only said redeem at the counter, but they had the name of the arcade on the ticket as well. So I might get a whole bunch of tickets at Aladdin. That's what it was called back in the day, Aladdin Arcade. Those tickets were only good for redemption at Aladdin. I couldn't take them
Right.
to a different arcade and redeem those tickets there. And so, when I'd get those tickets, I wanted to get as many as I can. Now, an adult might be walking by. Someone who just came from a different arcade center might be walking by. A young kid might be walking by, and all they saw was a ticket. But those tickets in my hand, knowing where I was going to take them, had a redeeming value, right?
Yep, that's good.
Right? So even then I'd be going by other games, and if I see half a ticket spewing out that somebody forgot, I'm yanking that bad boy too.
You probably pull
'Cause
another one behind it.
I saw value in this little thin cardboard
Yeah.
that said Aladdin on one side, redeem at the counter on the other side, knowing full well that if I took those tickets outside of that arcade, they had no value.
That's good.
They absolutely had no value, right? And so then I'd have all these tickets and I collect them, and then I remember taking them to the employee that was behind the counter. And the employee then would count the tickets and say, oh, these tickets are worth this amount. Now, I couldn't take those tickets to anybody. I had to take them to the person behind the counter.
Right.
And the person behind the counter found value in them and said, this is what it's worth.
Yeah.
And then would kind of point behind them and say, which one of these gifts would you like based on the value of the tickets? And
That's
so
good.
I could redeem the tickets for the gift. I could redeem the tickets for something that was going to bring me joy, redeem the tickets for something that was going to bring me happiness or whatever it might be. In a nutshell, that is validation and valuation
That's
in a
good.
nutshell.
That's so good.
See, the person behind the counter is validation. The person behind the counter is saying, all the work you just put in, this is what it's worth.
Yeah.
All the blood, I came in drenched with sweat.
3, 4, 5 hours in that arcade.
Right? And watch this. And this is the crazy thing is that in my mind, I thought I was bringing $1 million.
You're
But
clocking
here's
into
the
work.
crazy thing. There was a cost associated with the work I had to put in to find the value of these tickets. Right? I didn't care about the cost. I may have
Right.
ended up walking away with some toy that was worth $1.50, but
Right.
I would have spent
Right.
$15.
Easily.
I didn't care about the cost. I cared about the gift. I didn't care about the cost. I cared about the prize at the
good.
end.
That's
That was
good.
what was redeeming. So the person behind the counter is validating that for me. The person behind the counter is saying, hey, they were cheerleading me on. They knew I spent $15. They finna give me a $5 gift.
Right.
But they didn't say to me one time, you're losing money. No,
Right.
they said,
No,
great
not at
job.
all.
You awesome.
See you next
Oh,
week.
man. You sure you don't want to go back and get more tickets? You can get this. Listen, they made valid the scam, the Ponzi scheme,
right.
the pyramid marketing that is the arcade. They made that joint valid.
I love it.
But when I walked away with the gift, it didn't matter how much the cost was.
Mm-hmm.
The gift had more value than the cost. Mm-hmm. So the gift was the valuation.
Yeah.
The person behind the counter is the validation.
Yeah.
The gift was the valuation.
That's good.
You see, the fact of the matter is it's reasonable for everyone to want, their ideas, their choices, their achievements, their opinions validated.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure they're being validated by the right person.
The right person.
And when they're validated by the right person, what you ought to get back in terms of how you're better, how you move better, how you move higher, that's the gift. And that's and that's got to hold value to you. That's why it is so poignant. It is so paramount. It is so tantamount that you got some folk in your corner, in your circle, in your life who can validate all you've been through so you can see the value of why you had to get through it and move on to better. Because the fact of the matter is not everyone can give you true valuation to your validation.
Nope.
I want to make sure y'all heard that. Not everyone can give you true value for the hell you went through because you just want to be better, because you just want to go higher. You just want to go further in life. Not everybody can do that. So I just wanted to open up with that so that we kind of give a foundation as to what we mean when we say validation and valuation. And how we can go astray sometimes, get it wrong sometimes in terms of how we, how we seek validation or how we forget to find valuation. So I want to start there. I want to let you give your foundation or your introductory thoughts here, and then I want to jump right back in and just kind of push it a little bit further.
Absolutely. Well, I'll definitely go ahead and push it towards the sibling connection, which is what we always focus on for the sound off segment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came to my mind is siblings. I mean, the sibling experience can teach you so much. When it comes to value and worth, that is one of the clear-cut areas.
Yes.
And I want to speak to
where siblings are gifted.
They're just gifted in that space, right? And I want to speak to it from both sides of the coin because, sometimes when it comes to defining your worth, and this is a shout out to all the younger sisters or older sisters who had a brother out there. And, you remember those days where you were getting dressed up and cute in the mirror and you were putting on your cute outfit and you're maybe going to go to the mall or go hang out or go on a date or something. And it already takes a lot of confidence and work and effort to get it together. And as soon as you come out of that bathroom or that room, you feeling fly, you feeling fresh and so clean, and leave it to the insensitivity of your brother to have a color purple moment where he's like, you sure is ugly. Or
you sure is ugly.
Even worse, oh, that's what you wearing?
Right.
And you're like, what's wrong with it? And then he just kind of looks
Everything.
and walks away, leaves you there, just laughs at you, right? And this is what I mean about really learning your value and your worth. So then you got to go back and have, your positive self-talk. You got to reaffirm you was smart, you was kind, because you got to push back against them siblings, right? That just come at you. I only had a brother, so I can only speak from an older brother standpoint as the younger sister, but maybe you had a sister that did that to you, that you're just feeling good. So yes, your siblings will absolutely challenge you and encourage you to reach deep down inside to know you're worthy.
You didn't understand the fashionista expert in what you were dealing with. Remember, I bought clothes from Jeans West. I bought clothes. I bought clothes that would fly. I mean, when I went to school, people were like, man, where'd you get that?
Not at all.
I wore Jabot jeans before they were in style.
Exactly.
Okay? I was a trendsetter.
Wearing overalls before they were cool.
Oh, listen. And I was doing the overalls with just one strap before crisscross came out. Okay? Listen. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
So you
right
call that
now.
advice? That was an advisory meeting.
That was the devil wears Jabro. That's what I was. I was trying to help you. I critique, but I build. I build by critiquing. So that's what I do.
It made me tough. So if anybody else outside says something, I was already ready to go. Like you start to figure out your authentic style, right? Like you start to let that chip go. So, but yes, you guys have had that sibling connection where certainly our siblings they can sometimes make us wonder, why am I here? And then you have to fight through it, and you should fight through it and know you are valuable. But of course, the other side of that is certainly when you have a sibling that actually, absolutely reaffirms your value and your worth, be it that it's a hard time or be it that they're sometimes telling you stuff that's hard to hear. This is another situation for me. I remember this is probably my junior year in high school, and I was, had a boyfriend at the time. And I guess, bro, you overheard me talking to him or something. And after he left, you was like, listen here. If you're going to keep a man, you're going to have to man down a little bit and get that mouth together. Right. And I was like, what? Wait, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, that mouth.
I know who you're talking about.
You're amazing. Yeah. You're sweet. You're a wonderful woman. But I'm your brother, and I'm just telling you. You want to work on that mouth.
You going to keep a man.
Going to work on that mouth. And I was just like,
that's just,
a few more lumps and bumps in terms of just, losing some relationships. And I was like, I guess bro's onto something. I'm going to have to get a little sweeter on this end. So sometimes,
get more flies with sugar, with honey.
With honey than with some vinegar. Right. Like, get it together. So yeah, sometimes our siblings absolutely, have to reaffirm our value. And that was what I loved about that is he wasn't saying, you're not wifey material or you're not going to be a good girlfriend, all that. But that's an area we could tweak a little bit. And then the last thing I'll say, and I'll kick it back to you. And this is, again, another shout out to the baby sisters who, your brothers maybe during them early high school years and college years was out in them streets. And so they wanted to protect you from their behavior. And I never forget, my brother said to me, no judgment. He said, little sis, he's like, don't date anybody like your brother. Don't date anybody like me. And here's the thing. I wasn't even in the space to really think about the larger implications of that statement meant. I was just like, oh, okay. So don't be like those girls. Got it. Because something's wrong with them. We all know there's a larger conversation there. Let me just not be like them. Larger conversation. Right? But I knew what you were trying to say is you are valuable. You are worthy. Don't ever allow any young man to treat you in a way that diminishes that. And so let me kick it back to you in terms of that sibling perspective or any other thoughts you have on it.
No. So to me that's what I think I value most about this valuation conversation is the fact that growing up with a sibling, it's a different system of valuation and validation that you're going through than those who ain't got no siblings.
Right.
Because if you ain't got a sibling, your only child, your system is society and parents. Vicious. And that's a different valuation system than when you have a sibling. Yes. That's your system. What I value most about growing up with Nikki, growing up with the sibling, is the fact that, there's this awe that I'm in right now when I realize we went through the same value system and yet still found validation in different ways. And here's what I mean by that. You went through life one way, I went through life the other way, but we still came out with a valuation that said, this is why we strive for greater, for more, for better, whatever it may be. So that validation system, for those who don't have siblings could be friends. It's a circle of influence.
Right.
But the difference for that sibling connection is your friends, your circle of influence, they find value in things that maybe you didn't grow up with.
Right.
So you don't know how to value.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in my adulthood, I've got people who've been in and out of my life, and they go to parties, and they used to go to parties, stuff like that, and they'd be like, hey man, you want this Hennessy, you want this cognac,
right?
And I'm sitting there looking in the kitchen like, no, I want that Kool-Aid,
right?
I want that Kool-Aid, right? I want the Kool-Aid, red if you got it, like
right.
top shelf, top shelf red if you got it, because growing up, that wasn't part of our makeup.
That's good.
We found value in Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Whereas other homes found value in high C fruit punch. Man, we wasn't like that.
That's picking in high cotton.
Right. Come on. we ain't got that. What you talking about? Kool-Aid. Yeah. That's what I know. So then we get into these environments, and because I had a sibling, because I had you, Nikki, I can get into an environment and I'll find value in the smallest thing, because that was the system that validated us. And when we looked at each other and said, hey, we only got Kool-Aid, but hey, we're going to be all right. That brought value. I remember one time, I guess Mom took you and I to another family's house for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And they had those napkins, like those cloth napkins, like you get at a 5-star restaurant, right? And they had a napkin ring on it. And I guess Mom saw me looking bewildered at the table because I'm looking for the Scott napkin, or I'm looking for a rag. I'm either looking for that Scott napkin or a rag. Right. And Mama's looking at me bewildered and like, Andre, what's wrong? And I'm like, I need to wipe my hands and my mouth, whatever I said. And she's like, there's your napkin. And she said, I looked at this cloth in this ring, looked at it like it was a high society handkerchief, or an ascot in a ring, and I wouldn't touch it. I was like, "What is that? That's that? Wait, can I wipe my hands on this?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Dirty.
It's great. I can wipe my. Ooh, do you know this is 500 thread cotton? I can wipe my hands on this. Like, really? I can do this. I was like, I'm gonna do it. And Mom said the mom said I had this look on my face like I was taking a risk of my life.
Right.
Like,
What's gonna happen afterwards?
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You said I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like announcing to the world, listen, my mama said I could do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try. So, but because again, that's a different system.
Yes.
But in that moment, it's Mom really validating it and saying, listen, I know we live rough. I know we ain't had life the way others have. But listen, go on and try this. Get your taste of the other side. Get your little taste of the 2%ers. Right? Wipe your mouth with that thread count. See what that feel like, baby.
I love it.
But here's the thing. God, listen. I purchased my first napkin set with the rings on it recently. Recently. I walked down the aisle and I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I know people were looking at me like, what is he doing? And I'm looking at them, watch this, and I'm looking at them saying, what's it to you? What's it to you? Yeah. What's it to you? So, don't worry about how I find value, because what I've been through validates why I'm saying I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. So absolutely, it's that system, and we're laughing because the system we were brought up in as siblings, we find humor, we find lessons, we find abundance, we find blessings in that story. To other siblings or even other only children, they may hear this and be like, I don't get it. You had a different system that validated different things and taught you value of different things. And so that kind of brings me to the other side. And this is why I say you gotta be not just careful as to who you allow validate, but you got to be careful as to where you get your value, because different things are valuable to different people, and you ought not play down somebody else's valuation system.
That's good. Yeah.
And you ought to always bring a positive validation, because you just don't know where people come from. That part, as I was thinking about this, it reminded me of that song that Jay-Z and Kanye do. And I think I'm gonna get it wrong, but I think it's called "No Church in the Wild."
Yeah, No Church.
And the hook, and the hook is something like, "What's a king to a god?
Yeah.
What's a god to a non-believer who doesn't believe in anything?" I love that statement. I love it because my validation, my valuation might mean the world to me, but what is it to someone else?
Right.
What's it to someone else?
Right.
Right. And so if I'm too busy trying to say, hey, I am a king, but I'm talking to God, and God's like, but I'm a God.
Right. That
Right.
part. I'm the only one.
Right. So it's like, why am I up here boasting my chest, trying to make someone else validate whatever it is I find valuable. And then at the same time, why do I get stuck putting value in something that might keep me stuck, rather than allowing me to continue to push through and find higher things or better things or further things more valid, and then finding value in something greater than where I am. So there's it's not just the circle of influence, it's not just the sibling connection, but it's also the stagnation. You lose value in things when you remain stagnant.
That's good. Yeah.
And we always got to push through that. But yeah, whenever we accomplish something, man, it's who the question becomes, who are the first people you look to and tell? Do they add value to what you just accomplished? I may say something to the folks in my circle, but I'll probably look for value from mom and dad and from you, Nikki. So I might say it to my circle, and they might validate, but that's not where I get my validation from. I'm going to look to the system that raised me.
That's good.
Because they knew my starting point. So yeah, that's and it all adds up to worth.
Yeah.
And where did you learn your worth from? Who understands your worth? Things like that. So I'll kick it back to you before we do, if you want to add to that before we go to the sponsor shout out.
No, that's good. I'm co-signing everything you said. And I'll just say this one thing, and then I'll do our sponsorship shout out. That it's so funny, that napkin story is so key for us. I still do the throwaway disposable napkins, but on the holidays, I don't play around.
Right. You bring out the whole placemat.
The family be like, well, why do we have to use those? You going to use those napkins I bought that are color coordinated, high thread count. You gonna use it, what you gonna do? So it's just funny.
I'm gonna take my new napkin set and I'm gonna take them to the dry cleaners.
Right.
That's where they get clean. I'm gonna take them dry. I'm gonna do this. And if they look at it and be like, we don't know how to charge, like, you better figure it out. You better figure it out. I want these bad boys dry cleaned, extra starch.
It's a whole system for us. But yes, but speaking of systems that raised us and systems that add value, we hope that our sponsor, S2 Mediaworks, which is a media production company my brother and I co-founded, is adding value to you. The goal of that company is to create content to educate, empower, inspire, and encourage positive influence, and we do that through original narratives. Our mission, S2 Mediaworks, is to provide transformational education, resources for healthy and productive living, and creative storytelling is at the root of that. So we are dedicated to creating life-changing and life-giving content in all that we do. And this podcast, the Savage Siblings Podcast, is a product of our company. And so as always, we're so glad you are here with us for another episode. All right, bro.
Yeah.
You ready to get savage?
Absolutely. Let's do it. All right. So again, the title of our particular episode here is What's It to You? And so what we want to do is really just kind of walk away from this episode understanding that don't just stop at validation. Also move on to valuation. And so I think it probably should start with, how are we defining these things separately? How are we defining validation and valuation? And so starting with valuation, because I think that one's a little bit harder to understand than validation.
I agree.
So starting with valuation really when I think about it, ways that I've kind of studied it, ways I've grown to understand it, valuation really kind of refers to this process, right, where you've been through some stuff, and now you're looking to people close to you, a sibling, friend, whatever, and saying, "Did I come out all right? Did that was that okay?" And the reason I'm asking that question is because I need to assign a value to the experience based on how I'm now being represented in the environment I'm in. So let me say that a little bit different. I can go through something. I could look at people and say, "Hey, am I okay?" They could say, "You're okay." But then when I look at how I'm represented in the environment, I can say, "Y'all lying to me. I ain't okay. I'm out here busted. I'm out here hurting. Y'all just placated me." Well, you just assigned a valuation in that moment to the experience. But then I could go through something and I could say, "Whoo, I barely made it through." And I could be like, "Am I okay?" And everybody would be like, "No, man, you did great." And then I look at where I am being represented in life in that stage, in that season, and realize, oh, I'm at the top with whatever it is. Then I say to myself, okay, what I just did, what I just thought, what I just felt, the idea I just had, the actions I just took, they have high value.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it's about positioning where you are in life is not just saying, did you win? It's, did you win and you understood and you walked away with wisdom so you could win like that again, right? So that's why it's all about not just what happened, but where are you positioned when you're done, because that's how you're going to assign value to the actions it took. You're not assigning value to the gold medal. You're assigning value to how you ran the race.
That's good. Yeah.
That's valuation. I grew up hunting. Dad taught me how to hunt at such a young age. I believe we were in Alabama the first time, and we were pheasant hunting. And I remember he put that 12 gauge shotgun to my shoulder. He saw the pheasant's nest. He knew a pheasant was in there, and he helped me aim. And then he kind of stood back, but he put a hand on my back, and he said, "Now pull the trigger and hit the nest." I pulled the trigger, I hit the nest, and I went back into Dad's hand because I was small, and the kickback from that rifle was hard.
Yep.
And we got the pheasant, and when we got home, we brought the pheasant, I believe it was to Uncle Roy. And Uncle Roy said, "You know, you got that, Andre?" I was like, "Yeah, I shot it. Dad helped me, but I shot it." And I remember then Dad told me I went to go sit down. And Dad came back a little bit later because Uncle Roy was pulling out the feathers. He said, "You don't want to watch him clean the pheasant?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to watch." Dad saw me wincing. And Dad was like, "You good?" Well, he didn't say you good. He's like, "You okay?" And I showed him my shoulder, which had a bruise on it. And he said, "I want you to go look at the bird." And so I got up and I went to look at the bird. And in that moment, the pain went away. And it went away because I was hungry. Now, I need to make sure everybody understands this, what I just said. The value of hunting for prey is different when you're hungry versus when you're not.
Got you.
If I wasn't hungry, I'd have focused more on the pain, and I'd assigned value to the pain and said, "Is hunting really worth it?" But because I was hungry, I assigned value to the meal we were about to eat, and the pain went away. Valuation will have its greatest efficacy when it's attached when you're hungry, when you're passionate, when you're striving, when you're determined. You're going to struggle to find valuation when you're just placating a moment, when you're just doing a cursory or surface level thing. That is the reason why some people don't move on to valuation. because the validation was so surface level. It meant nothing. It came from a voice that doesn't matter. It came from a situation where you really didn't need to be validated. You just wanted to be talked to. You wanted to be coddled. Valuation comes when you're hungry. Our dreams in life have a different value when we're, watch this, uncomfortable in mediocrity and striving to get to making that dream a reality. You'll add value to what you do. Valuation is an important step. It's a very important step in the process of getting to whoever it is or whatever it is that's your purpose to do. In fact, one of the roles of valuation is absolutely to produce kind of like this subjective connection of currency, right? I'm willing to go through what it's going to take, because when I get to where my purpose has designed me, my dreams are taking me, when I get to there and I start to compare where I am now with where I'm going to go, the desirability for the valuation, the desirability to get there is greater. And I got to get to one level of life rather than the one I'm in. So in other words, valuation occurs before you choose the action you're going to take, because it's based on how you got through. So where, and we'll talk about validating. Validating looks back, valuation looks forward, but we got to have both.
I love it. Ooh, that's good. That's good.
I'm going to stop there, let you jump in.
Yeah, this is good. And you laid beautiful foundation. I think when I was kind of just unpacking how we define valuation or value, for me, there was a little sting, because I kept thinking, I can see why sometimes we do just jump right to validation, because when you start to analyze value, I think almost 99% of the time, when I define value for my life or I look at other people's life, it's almost always the truth of the value is going to line up with things like where I put my time, where I put my money, where I put my resources, where I put my focus, where I put my energy, where I put my effort. And so value almost is synonymous with this notion of proof, right? Proof of what's important to me, proof of what is critical to what I say that I value. And the reason why this can get sticky for us is because it really will shine a light on inconsistencies.
It absolutely will.
On a two-way street. Either it's who I say and or what I say I value does not line up with where I put my time, my money, my resources, my focus, my energy, my effort, right? I say I value health and fitness, but I put a lot of time in eating foods that aren't good for me. I say I value proper rest, right? And I stay up to 2:00 watching HBO Max, right? You have to get up at 6, right? And so this whole process, when you start really unpacking that, really challenges us. And I think it's a good way. I don't think it's meant to be condemning. I think when you start thinking about, well, what is important to Anitra and what does valuation mean for me, it will make you start to think about how you use your treasure, your time, your focus, your energy, your effort.
Absolutely. How you will use it. I love
future based. But a lot of times, I think the reason why we don't often even seek value the way you're saying that has to be the first step is because, as you've already kind of hinted at, it's a journey. It's a process kind of discovering it. But we live in such a materialistic society that it's easy to define value, and I should say incorrectly define value in extrinsic or external ways, right? So it's like, I want this car, so now that's become a value. I want this house. I want this level of wealth. I want this particular status. And so then before you know it, what we're trying to define as value really is kind of a accumulation of things, right? It's stuff, it's attainments or accomplishments or milestones, right? And so the issue is when you even think, and we've heard this saying before, this kind of reference that we're not human doings, we're human beings, right?
Right.
And
I've heard that. I love it.
Yeah, one of the challenges when you're really thinking about valuation is so often we're defining it based on doing. We're not defining it, as you've already described, in terms of experiences, in terms of what lessons are you learning.
I love it.
And so now the evaluation is much more on what can I do to get that car? What can I do to get that wealth? What can I do?
I love that you're saying that. Oh my God, I love that, because here's the thing. the issue to tag on with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, the reason why many of us don't move on to valuation, just stay stuck at validation, because the action that it takes to move on to valuation is you making a decision based on the information you've gotten from validation.
Yep.
And yes, that's why I say it's future based. That's why you alluded to the fact is, what are you going to do with what you know? What are you going to do with what you learn? Because you got to make a decision. Another reason why people don't move on to evaluation is because they're indecisive people, and they stay stuck at estimating value instead of being valuable.
Wait, you got to do that again. You got to do that one again.
The reason why people don't move on to valuation is because they stay stuck in indecisions, because all they want to do is keep estimating value instead of being valuable.
Oof, God.
Listen, stop trying to recount all that you've been through to see if it's more valuable today than it was yesterday. It's valuable when you use it, make a decision. It's valuable when you take a risk on it, make a decision. You get stuck because you keep seeking for more convincing evidence on value. And now all of a sudden, the moment, the idea, it's moved past you. Somebody else is doing it. The blessing now belongs to someone else. Make a decision. Step out on the information that you see. Listen, self-evaluated abilities and our performance in one or more activities, that's how you move on to valuation.
Yeah.
Make a decision. You gotta go. And I love that. There was something you were talking about. So what do you kind of coined or pinned the question, how will you use what you know? I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Sharonda. Well, I call her Shar, so y'all will hear that name. She's everything, right? Right now, there are times now where she's my nutritionist and my nurse.
I love it.
She made me take one of these biome test. You know what a biome test is?
Please unpack that for us.
Okay. So a biome test is where you got to send in a stool sample.
Yes.
And people look at what you've been eating.
Oh, God.
So that they can tell you what's causing you inflammation.
Yeah.
What's helping your heart. So the results come back and say you need to stay away from these foods. You can enjoy these foods. These are your superfoods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, as a brother that loves certain foods, when I saw my test results, there were some things they said I need to stay away from that I was like, oh.
That changed.
Ooh. Ooh. Like, for real? And then there's some stuff that they said are my superfoods. I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
Like, where does that, where did you
does
find
that?
Like, right, exactly.
Is that all season
Where
of
do
year?
I go? Is that English?
Right.
Is that English? Did I pick up my results from IKEA? Because I don't understand this stuff right here. But the truth of the matter is too many of us won't move on to valuation because, watch this, the change, the stuff, the information that we need to change, we got it from our we got it from our stool sample.
Yes.
Y'all didn't hear what I just said.
That's
You didn't
good.
hear what I just
Yes.
said. See, folk that stay stuck in validation are still asking people to keep evaluating their stool sample.
Ooh.
But those of us that want to move on to valuation and say, wait a second, I got the
My.
information from the stool. You going to keep eating that? You going to keep ingesting that? Or are you going to watch this, move on to your superfoods? But I ain't never heard of that before. Valuation says it's valuable. Take a chance.
Yeah.
But I don't even know where you get that. Valuation says it's valuable. Find it and take a chance. That's how we identify good and bad sources of valuation. Look at who's giving you the information.
Yes.
Look at who's what it is that you're trying to find value in. So when we look at the resources of valuation, we look at the sources of valuation. When I think of the good, right? I gotta say this. I was not. Unlike my sister, I was not a good student. I was.
Facts.
Listen, I'm gonna say something right now that nobody. I don't listen. When I walked across the stage for graduation from Wichita Southeast, shout out to both Wichita and the Buffaloes. When I walked across the stage, they told us in the rehearsal that when you walk across the stage, you're going to shake the principal's hand and you're going to get an envelope.
Right.
And in that envelope, in the window of that envelope, when you look at it, it's either going to be your high school diploma or it's going to be a sentence that says, see you in summer school. All right, now let me tell you something. I shook the principal's hand. I grabbed the envelope. Now, I'm on stage, and I promise you, as the Lord, as my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, as my witness on the cross, I started praying. Lord, I don't know what this going to do. I don't know what it's going to say. And then that doggone cousin Denise, I can't wait for her to hear this episode. Doggone Denise, going to walk away from the family, get to the closest area she can, talking about, let me take a picture of your diploma while you're on stage. Now, I don't know what it's going to say. I don't know what it's going to say. And I'm like, if she don't go sit her nosy behind down somewhere. I ain't even got off stage yet. And look, can it make matters worse? The class that I know I should have failed, which was English, the teacher was the first teacher sitting in the chair as you walk off stage. So I'm trying to get an indicator from him as to whether or not I'm going to summer school. So I still haven't turned over the envelope. I'm ignoring Denise. I'm looking at the teacher, and I'm saying, ignoring you. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on the cross, help me out. Listen, I promise you, Lord, if you just let me see what I need to see, I'll never, ever, ever. Thank God. Ooh. Thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on the cross mercy. That it was a high school diploma. I looked at it. The biggest smile came on my face. I let Denise take the picture. Right? I walked down the stairs. I said to the English teacher, thank you. And yes, like I meant it like he died for my sins. Thank you. Thank you. And I said it, I enunciated because he's an English teacher. Right. I was grammatically correct because he was an English teacher. I had the great sentence structure because he was an English teacher.
Oh, how I thank you.
So I just, but watch this. Listen, validation would have said, hey, don't go to college. School ain't your thing. You barely made it out of high school.
Teach.
But valuation said, nah, I wasn't good at the subjects at high school, but college lets me choose what I am good at and move on to that. What is your source for valuation? The good source is the one where you get to operate in the way you are gifted and the way you have been favored, the way you have been anointed to operate in. The fact of the matter is, I graduated from high school and I barely made it. But when I graduated, let me say it differently. When I graduated from seminary, because I got to operate and choose in the areas where I found valuable. When I graduated from seminary, I graduated, what's the highest one? Magna cum laude or summa cum laude?
It's
whatever it is.
Summa cum.
Summa. Yeah. I graduated summa cum laude. Valuation. Yeah, when I graduated from high school, I graduated, oh, thank you, Lord.
Right.
Validation. What is your good? So the good source of your valuation is the one where you identify the way I'm created, the way I'm made. That's where I'm going to come out and I'm going to be great. The bad source is when you're looking back and you're looking at the list of things that do not help you determine your self-worth. The bad source is the one that says, I'm going to choose this. Why? Because everybody said I wasn't going to amount to anything anyway. I'm going to do this. Why? Because everybody's telling me I can't do the other one.
Right.
I'm going to think this. Why? Because everybody else thinks this way about me.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Why? Because my bank account's reminding me that has very little. My job title's reminding me that I'm not that attractive. Social media following don't have nothing to do with me. These are the bad sources of valuation.
Yeah.
These are just opinions.
Yeah.
These are just momentary hurdles that you got to cross.
Yeah.
And see, as adults, what we do, we can look back at times where others may have shown you that you had no value and you bought into that and assigned that.
My.
And that's the bad source of valuation because we get caught up in the wrong things. You see, bad sources of valuation also have you getting caught up in chasing money, chasing status, chasing popularity. And especially when those things are highly valued by those who are connected around you, those in society, people in general who they've got those things, bad sources of valuation will have you looking at what other people say is valuable and saying, I must need that in my life. That must determine my worth. But that is not a good source of valuation. So I'm gonna pause there for a second, let you jump in.
That's just so good. And I think the thing I want to add is when you are going through this process of identifying good and bad sources of valuation, understand that, use them as teachable moments, because it's not very, it's not as cut and dry. It's a journey to, as you're discovering your own value and things are changing as you change. The first time that I did like a community audition, because when I was younger, I focused a lot on acting. And so, this is back in Wichita, Kansas, and I was taking a drama class. I think I was probably 3rd or 4th grade. Prior to that, a lot of my performances were church-based, where you don't audition. They just pick the baby that talked the loudest, and you gonna be the lead. And so I was moving into,
and that would be you.
That would be me, because I was always the loudest and talking the most. And so as I moved into thinking about going in performance outside of like that church space, then I go to some community theater classes, and like my first kind of formal audition in that space, again, raw talent. I didn't have any training. Go into this space and I do this, whatever audition that I did, read the lines and kind of did my thing. And I was cast in a supporting role, and it was great. This is community theater. So for those who know that, yes, you make your own costumes, like you bring everything in, you paint the sets, you memorize your lines. Everybody's doing everything. And so, we get in, the show opens and I'm performing. And as a supporting role, I'm not on the stage the whole time, but, hitting a couple of scenes, and apparently just killed it to where the audience is taken by my performance, and everybody is like, wow, Anitra, she did a great job. And after the show was over, everyone just came up and, hugged. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So the director, who's also the lady that, teaches the class, and she's directing the show and guides us, she pulls me to the side and she said, Anitra, she said, if I had known that you were that talented, I never would have undercast you.
Woo.
And this is the connection to what we're saying about identifying good and bad sources. Now,
yes,
for some of us in performance spaces, we're looking at her as a director. Well, 80% of your job is casted. So why you didn't know? Right?
How you didn't see
that giftedness. But what she taught me, and this is why I want you to, again, continue to use this process of identifying good and bad sources as a teachable moment, was every time you show up to an audition, if you don't bring your A game, then you're likely to be undercast. Then you're likely for them to miss something different. And so it changed the way I approach, how I show up to interviews, how I show up to set, how I show up to auditions, whatever the case may be. And so everything Bro said in terms of, identifying these good and bad sources, just know there's a learning curve to it, right? You're going to have to, you're going to hit a couple bad ones and be like, oh, that didn't work. Right. They didn't treat me right. They didn't do right by me. Right. And I'm going to go ahead and shout out churches here. And I mean this in the spirit of transparency and growth and love. But sometimes the church space can be a place where God will use it to teach us. Some of us that come into that with this mindset of, oh, I'm going to be of service and just use me. And God says, well, I didn't make you to use you. I made you to partner with you. And so some of y'all that are going into churches saying, God just used me. And then a month later, 2 months later, a year later, your lips are chapped. You're a little frustrated because your value that you incorrectly assigned to God was use me, but then you allowed people to do that, air quotes, with the label of God use me. God partners. He doesn't need to use anything. He partners. And so when we're talking about identifying good and bad sources, so one thing I'll add to what my brother already laid out is fair partnership.
Yes.
Is it a good or bad source? Is there fair partnership?
Yes.
Are you bringing more to the table? And so for some of us who are self-serving, we're going to struggle to answer that question. And that's a question you should ask in interviews. You should ask when you're hiring someone. You should ask in a relationship, a romantic relationship, business partnership. What is the fair partnership? What are we all bringing to the table? And if I'm self-serving, I'm going to struggle.
What's good, Savage Siblings? I hope you're enjoying this episode entitled, What's It to You? Listen, as you can tell, my sister and I had a blast with this episode. And as you can see, we just kept talking. So what we're going to do is make this episode a 2-part experience. So here's what I need you to do. Be sure to catch part 2 of What's It To You at our next drop date. We're going to continue this conversation of understanding valuation and validation. And then we're going to dig deep into some strategies to identify good and bad sources of both. You don't want to miss the transformational perspective, the quick shot, which is always hilarious, and of course, the final blow. So as always, we want to thank you so much for joining us for part 1. Please help us build the Savage Siblings community. We need you to like, share, comment, leave a review, subscribe, and send this to your favorite Savage Sibling set. Share your thoughts on how you feel valued in life and where you seek validation in life. Whatever it might be, we want to hear from you. A huge shout out to our amazing team of people who make all of this possible. Dwayne McClendon and Kyle Davis, our sound editor. Huge shout out to Ronnie Maxwell of Maxwell Music, our music producer. And a shout out to our boy Keith Cross of K Cross Photography for all of the amazing photos, all the amazing media photos and pics that you see. And of course, we always want to shout out our parents for their DNA and all of the funny life lessons they allowed us to have so that we can share them with you. And of course, how could we ever forget you, our listeners? So glad you're here. We can't wait to see you next time, hear from you all the time, and remember, don't go through life alone.